So we're going to look at what practitioner-led action research might be. And as you can see from the diagram behind, it's a spiral process. Now it does have a history, and it's worthwhile me just describing this because the idea of action research started in about 1952. And there was a resurgence of interest in the 1970s. Action research was seen that it could be a force for social change. And then in 1988, Carr and Kemmis came out with this idea of action research as something that could be carried out within teaching practice, and that was carried forward by Reason and Bradbury, who looked at the role of action research within communities of practice. So it's quite a well-developed research methodology. And McKernell's action research model is again this cyclical model. You start off with something that needs improvement, a problem situation. You begin by defining the problem. You then go on to think about ideas as to how you might solve that problem. You develop an action plan. You carry it through. You evaluate it. You make decisions on how effective it has been. You start to go back and you do the thing again with new hypotheses and a revised action plan and further evaluations of your actions. So it's not a sort of straightforward one-way process. It's something that involves constant reflection on your own practice, and it's carried out within your practice. Zwodziak-Myers has recently written about action research as something that generates new knowledge that can be shared to support and build upon the professional practice of others. And it can work within a range of situations: teaching, your evaluative practice, you and your own reflexive situation. It will support your own reflective practice. It will support how you consider a situation. It will help you look at a situation from different perspectives. If you're interested in starting an action research project, you first need to think about the problem or the research question. And I'm not going to show you this video now, but it's embedded within the presentation, and please do click on it and watch it. It's really good. It's far more entertaining than anything I'm presenting. It's really great. So you have to imagine that you've actually formulated your question, and once you've done that, you need to read around your subject so you've got some theoretical underpinnings. And again, Zwodziak-Myers, when she talks about the literature review, she suggests you read and analyse at least 5 recently published sources that reflect your current subject. And she's very clear in that you cannot just represent them. You need to analyse them, evaluate them in the light of your question. You need to sort of map out where your question is and the solution you're posing within the landscape of theory, with awareness to the context of your research, and critically discussing why you've chosen that particular question, what your preconceptions might be to justify your line of inquiry. When you're going to carry out action research, you do need to be very aware of the ethical issues, and for that I would suggest you go to BERA, which is a great place to read about ethics, and because you're working with real people, you must ask relevant permissions before collecting or sharing data. It's also usually a good idea to keep a reflective journal. In doing so, you're not only gathering evidence, but you're charting your progress and you're evidencing your reflective practice. You're showing that your research is a journey. Now, at some point in any research project, you'll need to gather evidence. So, evidence in an action research project can be designed to support the project itself. It can be qualitative or quantitative or both. And if you design your project within your own framework, so for example you're looking at a teaching project that looks at your own practice, then design things so that you could use evidence that you'd gather anyway, so attendance data or assessment data. You could maybe design some questionnaires to gather learners' opinions about your question, and if you do so, just be careful to make your language very accessible. Likewise, if you're going to be gathering qualitative data in terms of interviews, you might gather a richer data from groups of learners, so consider doing that. And then you'll need to collate and analyse your data to come up with your results and your evaluations. And part of this is a reflective process. You might find that what you find out is not at all what you expected, but that's good. Research is a journey. Don't worry about a right or a wrong answer. Just think about what you found out. How were your preconceptions challenged? Did anything unexpected happen? All of these will be your findings, and they're all valid. Now, at some point, you're going to have to think about whether you want to disseminate your research or not, or what you want to do next. So, if you're considering taking out further research, you need to look at what further questions your research posed. But you also might want to be thinking about how you present your findings. And this doesn't have to be a lengthy written paper. It could be a website, a poster, or a presentation. And there's an excellent resource about multimodal research presentations if you click on the link in the presentation and go to the EMCET website. So I'm going to signpost you to some further information, and the first one I'm going to signpost you to is a complete ECPD guide to action research, and you can find this. I'm going to it is actually got its own kind of voiceover, which is much better than the one that you've just heard from me, and lots of different ways in which you can approach action research. So it's a process, it's a full kind of CPD guide. I'll just show you. There we go. So you've got a voiceover. It tells you what activities you can carry out, and it gives you useful checklists and assessment criteria as well. So very, very useful resource there. Again, you've got Zwodziak Myers, the text that I've looked at extensively throughout this, and that is from the Teacher's Reflective Practice Handbook, and it's very useful, and it's dimension 2 of the 9 dimensions, reflective dimensions she identifies in that book, and she's writing in 2012, so it's a very contemporary guide. So I hope that's been useful. If you want to find out anything more about action research, please do get in contact with me at s.crowson@hca.ac.uk, or if you're working at HCA, just pop into the research room of my office. Thank you.